Whenever you're ready, Chairwoman.
Thank you. This meeting will now be called to order. We will proceed with our roll call. Garrett, will you do our formal roll call?
Second Chair Tom Mattis.
Present.
Vice Chair Dave Lyon. Chairwoman Deb Ann Rippey.
Present. To include staff.
City staff is already accounted for.
Thank you very much. And I don't believe we need any introductions. Our first order of business will be to approve the minutes from our December 14th meeting. Those minutes were included in our packet, and those were done verbatim from the recording. So were there any additions or corrections that anyone could see from that set of minutes?
No additions.
Okay, if there are no additions or corrections, then we will file those as approved. Thank you. Okay, then we move to business, and our business is to look at our 1-, 3-, and 5-year planning for the Kuna Arts and History Center. And Leo, if you can kind of give us an idea of how you would like us to begin to proceed. I can see there are a couple different directions we might be able to go. And we do have, again, in the packet, an idea of a template, but that's certainly not hard and fast. So if you would fill us in. Thank you.
Yeah, so that was put in here. The template was put in here as to get an idea, I guess, for the planning for this year, and then from there begin to build planning for the following years, 3, 5 year that down the line. This is just a template to see essentially, you know, the quarters, because the display rotations are based on a quarterly basis. So that was put in here, and there's also a sample template that was provided. Just to get an idea of what that would look like. So this is really to jumpstart that conversation and get it going, and seeing what the rest of this year could look like, and then building off of that.
Thank you. So what would be most helpful for Tom and I to discuss at this point? The framework? Do you want some actual decisions on year 1, 3, 5? Where would you like to see us by the end of the evening?
It would be to see whether this template would work for the planning of the center for the rest of the year, and to continue on, see if this template works for the commission, and also to see if there are any ideas for the year that we have. We can, you know, if this template is something that you like, that we can, you know, start putting things on there. So that's it's provided on you. It's in the electronically.
Thank you. So the template really, as you said, provides for the 4 different displays for the history portion of the History and Arts Center. And then it also provides an opportunity for us to look at both fine and traditional arts being displayed and or perhaps activities, and then for performance arts displays and activities. So, Tom, have you had a chance to kind of look through that?
So it looks like you've got everything. So it looks like you have everything planned out pretty much. I like the template in quarterly, on my first, review. And I see, you know, the takedown. I'd have to go into it a little bit with a deep dive, but, you know, I think, I could certainly support this, as written, for sure.
Okay, thank you. So if we are in agreement that this would at least be a framework for us to use for planning purposes, do you need an action item from us, or is it simply that we would refer to the template?
Yeah, so it's an action item on here to be approved by you both. for
Okay.
use.
So the chair would entertain a motion that we approve the proposed annual planning template that's been provided to us.
I second. I move.
And I will second that motion that we approve the proposed annual planning template. And all in favor, say yes.
Yes?
Yes. Opposed? None. So that motion carries. We'll use this template so that we can do planning for year one and then eventually through year 5.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so as Tom pointed out, it looks like for the history portion of this, you've already done quite a little bit of work on that, and you have that really sort of mapped out for year one. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. So for the rest of this year's, essentially planned out, and I have those dates. It's just about 10 weeks for each display. So history is pretty much, you know, set in stone at this point. It's just about like getting those up and getting those down in time. The thing that isn't is the art portion, or also events as well. Like the display for history is you know, provided here, but events aren't, as well as the art rotations. What we have right now is art pieces that were a part of the Historical Society's collection, and that's about 6 pieces up right now at the center. But I think, you know, something we could do for the next rotation, which would start May 29th, I believe, on here, is maybe getting, you know, submissions from local artists in the area. That way we can show art from people like in CUNA, around CUNA, and getting that going for displays. Because at the moment, the pieces that are up are just about all the pieces that the Historical Society has. So the historical portion is, you know, kind of sent. The art side is not so, you know, sad at this point.
Right, and
Yeah.
you had that inventory of history, so obviously that was ready to go. And then the art and whether it's fine or traditional or performance arts, those would be things that perhaps we could make suggestions for, or as you come up with ideas, then we would take a look at those.
Yeah, I was, you know, I think an idea I had in my mind, at least for like the next rotation or before the next rotation, would be, you know, putting out like a call to artists or something. That way folks can submit their artworks, and then we can have those ready, you know, depending on how many people submit artwork. We could have artwork for the next quarterly rotation, and if there are an abundance of submissions, we can also prepare for the next quarter, and that way we have art displays ready in that way. And then also, you know, creating events, because we've had people show interest already who've like emailed the city clerk email looking
Excellent.
to display art. So I think that's a way we could go. Definitely getting your guys' opinions on that.
Tom, thoughts? Any thoughts on the arts portion?
You know, I start to look down that, I'm seeing sculpture, quilting, the fine arts, all right? And I know there's some wall space. So I think, in my mind, I was gonna start taking some notes, is where that call to artists would be, right? Where do we put that? So that was kind of an action item. How do we get this out in front of people? The second part of that is, I think, let's not put the horse before the cart with, hey, we got so much. Let's figure out where we do this. Is it websites? Is it, Idaho Arts Council? They're doing some things, and I'm wondering, I'd like to keep it within the boundaries of CUNA, obviously, and that's really a small subset. So my concern is that we really wear it out too quick, right? So I don't know. And again, I'm brainstorming a little bit here because it's new and stuff. So we do a call to artists. Then let's hope we get a lot. But then the next one is, what if we don't? So I see two paths. One, the call to artists, and then two, we get a ton, but we don't get enough. What's our backup plan? What do you guys think?
Well, I think those are very, very valid. I do wonder if we have to sort of be flexible, play it by ear, and do we do just a call to all artists, or do we really try to point the call to which parts of these different arts we're highlighting in a certain quarter? This particular sample that I'm looking at is strictly that sample. That's not set in stone in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just thinking.
I agree, and I like that. I think we can move April, let's say the display quilting to the land or whatever, because I don't know if there's a quilting season. There might be, right? It's probably not August or May, but they might be sending it over to the Eastern Idaho, Idaho Fair, right? So I guess I'm thinking real big picture here is, how do we get that bulk of inventory to put in there and then align it, right? So maybe it's a call to all artists, because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know who's out there, and we just get a bunch and go, okay, you get the enthusiastic people that want to do that, and then there's a grand opening coming up, but the other side of that too is that artist, whether it's quilter, would want to have, like, say, an opening, and hey, it's their first night, right? That brings people in the door to know about it. So I'm thinking big picture here. The other side is the high schools, right? So as I look at the branches of this tree, I'm thinking, okay, we don't know who we have out there, and if we don't fill it, now our backup plan would be, okay, let's go to the schools, right? I think we need to really reach out, talk to the art teachers in middle school, high school, right? So if some of these don't fill in, that's going to bring that's going to bring the residents in, because it's family and kids, right? So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. I'm thinking, again, short-term and long-term. As we have that grand opening, I would really love to see a representation of the arts. Otherwise, it looks like it's strictly a history center. And I would like to see at least some even small displays or something that would indicate that we would have both art displays, and then perhaps even we can talk about a survey for what type of participation they would want to have. So something that indicates to people, this is not it, this is not static, this is not the end, this is just the beginning. We want this to grow, we want it to be rich, we want it to be complete, we want people to feel like, I need to come back again every quarter to see what's new, what's interesting, I want to come back and participate. So I'm hoping that we could at least have something that would be a part of either fine or traditional arts. I don't know on such short notice if we can get the performance arts. There may be a couple of groups that already meet and could do that. but I would like to see at least some representation in that grand opening so that the arts are always included as well as the history.
Yeah, so we do have a few pieces up for art, like that are displayed for the opening. So there's 6 different pieces that are going to be displayed and that are going to be up hung on the wall. So that are there. Those are there. I don't know if you're thinking of something else to speak to the arts, because there are pieces that are hung, but I'm not sure if that's what you're getting at or if you're getting
Is
at
that
something
from the
else.
history collection?
It is from the Historical Society's permanent collection, but they are art pieces. They're like pastel and graphite pieces. But I don't know if exactly what you're speaking to, because there are pieces up. I don't know if you're looking for something additionally for the opening.
I would hope we could have at least something. And Tom, not to put you on the spot, but you have lots of incredible art. Would there be a chance even that you could display some? Do you know what I mean? That we have people who already have art that is prepared. I'd love to see that, and even if it was just a small representation, a few of those, so that we can begin to give people an idea, this is where we're going with this. I'm concerned that if somebody walked in and it was all history and the art is historical, even if it's lovely, I'm concerned about what that initial reaction is, and do we come back or, oh, okay, well, that's history, thank you.
I hear what you're saying, and I think the March 13th is right around the corner. I mean, and so you're right. I can certainly put some stuff up if that's required. I mean, I don't know how much room, what you have, what's going on. But that being said, I hear you looking at the opener, and I'm looking at big picture. So just for us to align, I guess the question you're asking is how much art do we have for the opener, and how's that look? How does that look, Leah?
So like I said, there's 6 pieces. They're pretty big. So in the gallery space, down the stairs, if you remember that sort of side area, there are 3 pieces that are pretty big. I think they're, I can't remember the exact dimensions off the top of my head. I think they're like 36 inches wide. So they're, pretty decent sized pastel pieces. So there are 3 down there. And then in the hallway leading to the media room where the chairs and everything are, there are 3 more pieces along the wall there. So that's what the art looks like at the moment. And
Do you feel you could use more?
I mean, it would be nice, but the thing is hold on, I have it here. Linearly, we have 29.5 feet of linear space to hang pieces. So if we were to add more pieces, I don't know if we'd have enough space for those to look, so nice. Like the 3 pieces that are in the hallway leading to the media room, those are about 27 inches wide. And that space of rail that we have, because they hang off wires, so it's a hanging rail system, is 118 inches long. And we have 3 like 27-inch pieces. So there's just enough space in between for labels. And so they don't look too crowded right there on that. And since there are larger pieces in the gallery as well, I don't know if we could hang like smaller pieces next to them with enough space.
Would your pieces need to be hanging pieces?
Mine would be more sculpture to fill with sculpting and stuff like that. So not that wouldn't help fill the area if you need that, but that's always available. And I can pull from 2 other artists that I know that are from CUNA. So there's that. I guess what I would also say, maybe we should drop in and just take a look. Right? I mean, I'm free to do that any time during the day. And if you're there, so I would recommend we just go there for lunch and see what's going on, and because virtually, right? I know you walk in the door, you come up the ramp, but unless I see it, it's really not.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I can set that up if you guys would like to do a walkthrough, like before the opening, so you could see it. And I get what you're saying about like sculptural pieces. The only thing is that we have like one display case that could be used for sculptural pieces. We don't have any pedestals that could display our like ceramic or 3D arts. We have one white like display case that could be put in there, and it's not very big. It's not very big. I would love to have sculptural pieces in there. We just don't have a bunch of things to actually set those pieces up. At the moment, we don't have any pedestals for art to display that kind of art.
So I think that's something that's, when I looked at the date, right, sculpture comes up, that's January, February, March, that's gonna kind of be over, we're opening in March. There's quilting, painting, and so that's something we're gonna have a year to look at, right? To get some pedestals and stuff like that for that section. So, thinking out loud, you know, the fine arts part and painting and hanging art, if you feel comfortable, but I'd still like to come in and just take a look and get a good idea of where it's going.
Yeah.
Ahead of time.
Yeah, I can do that. I can schedule a time.
Okay. So I think as an action item, I'd like to just have an action item for us to go down, take a look, right? And then the next action item is, do we need a call for artists for opener? Or is it too soon, or that's down the road?
I think that would be best for the next rotation. So, like, we could get it started for sure. So that way it could be ready for the next rotation. And like you said, we could do another, like, artist reception or something. That way we can highlight artists that are showing their art for that next rotation. That way it's not only history. We just couldn't get, you know, local artists for the opening because we're working on setting everything up and
So that being said, thinking out loud, and maybe I'm going too far down. I don't want, if I'm going down a rabbit hole, tell me. But if we were to get high school, middle schoolers, right? So it's towards the end of the year, right? And I'm thinking we need to contact some of those art teachers for like the end of the year, because we're gonna have a whole area that we could probably put on the wall, or if we got quilts. I'm just wondering, how much room do we have to ask? If that's something you could give us a ballpark, 8 by 10, no, not 8 by 10, let's go 24 by 24, or 18 by 24, we could do 8 of those per, because I see the wall stuff changing as kind of staying there maybe a little longer if necessary, or changing, because I see like quilts, we can hang some for the wall, but we're not going to hang like woodworking stuff. So I don't know. I know that sounds like I'm all over the place, but I'm just trying to think. I love the sample. I can work with that. I'm just trying to think. We need to reach out, trying to figure who to talk to, how to get inventory, and make the place, like Deb Ann said, let's to get people to come back, to see it quarterly. So, sorry, I'm winded.
No, I think we appreciate your comments. I do think that we are looking at both the short term, what happens in that opening, and then how do we, as quickly as possible, begin to incorporate some of these other things that we said would be appropriate according to our template. I'm wondering too if there's a way that we can begin to look at how is that space divided in terms of history and art?
how is it divided?
What would you say is the percentage that is allocated for? Do you see what I'm saying?
I would percentage wise, I don't
Just
know.
guess, just guess.
I don't. I mean, you know that the center room that's a history display space, and the smaller room that's conjoined with it is also, you know, looking to be a history space. We have the hallway space where we have railings and we have 3 pieces hung now that leads to the media room. That's a flexible space, but it's looking more like it'll be an art space as well. So like we can hang art pieces there. And then there's the gallery itself, which has the walls on all one side, and then there's a bunch of space as well if we were to get pedestals or display cases, what have you, that could also line the other side with all the windows. Percentage wise, I don't know what that looks like, because this, like the history displays, will look different each time because it will have different items.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and different themes.
Yeah. But so they each have their own allocated space. You know, those I don't intend to have like history override the art.
Then, for our purposes, it sounds like we do want to just say, what can we do to encourage that call to artists to begin to create that inventory of arts? It sounds like we probably will not do what was suggested on the sample for the January through March fine and traditional arts and performing arts. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, that's just a sample. It's just to get an idea of what could go there. So there's none of that is set in stone. That's just, you know, here's something that could be done, which would be traditional quilting for one rotational display.
So we
Right,
would,
so it could just be about anything.
so we would dispense with, it sounds like perhaps some sculpture. I would leave that really to your discretion when you look at it to see. I would leave to your discretion whether or not your sculpture goes in for the opening, but
Yeah, but it doesn't have to. I mean, I think that if there's enough stuff that's you know, and that's again, I'd be willing to just if needed last minute I can help. But I mean if it's fulfilled. One item that was brought up, and I heard you say it, and it's like, how much is there? When we start talking about inventory, then it dawned on me, the historical stuff is there. It's not going anywhere, right? We don't have to rely on anybody. You move it through one door, and then it's hard fast. We know that inventory is there. The other part is that, so I'm looking at quilting, and then I look at like fine arts and some painting and stuff, and then woodworking at the end. Again, as an example, but I'm trying to picture those 4 categories and how we make those work, and then who's taking charge or who's looking at the performing arts part, right? So that to me, I see historical arts, and that's kind of a wide category. I think it should be one or the other, right? Because I see history in the room, in the building, but then I see art coming and going on the wall, and then it could be a performance, but it's a living building. It's in my mind, it's ever changing. That's why people want to come back. And then I see the performing arts on the side. No, how can that really build with theater, music, and dance in that building? So anyway, since I wish I had this earlier to look at and have a better idea, but as I look at it, a lot of stuff's going through my head for like brainstorming and organizing, and for you, some guidance and help.
so where would you like us to head, Leah? What would be most helpful?
When it comes to the template, or
Well, I think the template we're okay with looking at. We will need to fill it in. And it sounds like one of our initial pushes will be to try to find artists. And perhaps we can't really fill out the template until we know what might be available for.
for like a
Yeah,
call to
for-
artists or something. Yeah. And I know Tom asked this question earlier, but where that would go, or where we would put that call to artists, that could go on to the city website, could also go onto the socials as well, the social media, to get that out to folks in the community. I also have someone from the Historical Society who's also an artist who is really interested in who's an artist, who I could send that call to artists to as well. So there are avenues to get that out there to people, so we can start getting submissions and having people submit works and really getting the art portion of it started.
And Tom alluded to the performance art and how that might work and where that might work best. So that might be another phase that we need to start to look at and incorporate and investigate.
Yeah, for sure. I will admit I'm not performance art is not my specialty. I've not done a lot with performance art. I think things that I've thought of for performance art at the center, it is a smaller building, and looking to have actual performances there, that would be something we'd have to look at more in depth. I think we have a TV mounted in there now, so there's a TV mount. I mean, that there are ways to broadcast and show performing arts in that way. So that's what I thought of for performance arts. But again, I'm not very well versed in performance art. That's a field that I haven't touched on totally.
I think that's the best way to get participation, right? Obviously, that's of the three, I would just see history, you walk through, unless it changes, right? Fine arts is the same. But then once you step into that performing arts, you're gonna get a lot more people involved. So I think it's important. And I recognize it's part of arts. But like you, I can mix color and do all that sort of stuff, but I don't look good in a dress.
We will not ask you to have to do that either.
No, I would agree that it is definitely important. It is a way to get participation in there. But I also think for when you're speaking to like fine arts participation, that's where like events can come in. Like if we were to do a workshop or something, that's a way to get participation as well.
Yes.
Right, in doing events and such for both performance art and fine art, traditional arts. I
And
think
history
that's-
too.
Yeah, and history. I think those are ways to get participation in hosting events.
I would see that space behind the center, right on the river, as an optimal performance space for a number of different types of performances. So that may be that we have to really prioritize having things happen in those April through June, July through September months for performance artists.
Gotcha, definitely for the weather, and we're looking at that space outside. Yeah, for sure, definitely.
So Leah, as I scroll down, and the template's good, we can work with that. I like what you've come up with to give us a baseline. Then as I go down, I look at the quarterly display and stuff, and it's very easy to get some type of a game plan because you've got the stuff and can subset it, right? Christmas, and that's great. I think we need to right now. I mean, I think it's the call right now. Just put the call out to start getting people thinking about it, right? And get some momentum around the grand opening, whether it's websites, whether it's posters, flyers, whatever. I think we need to say that. And then what you do is you subset those artists. So you got some fine artists, you've got some sculpting artists, and then you know who to contact, like quilters, right? And we start talking to the quilters. If I think there's no quilters, we open it up to Ada County, right? So that we bring them in, and we're still covering that type of genre because, it ran through my head. I don't know how many quilters there. There might be a lot. I don't know, but we don't know what we don't know. So because we got history over here with a good inventory, and we got a good plan over here, history looks dialed in. Arts, not so much. You're like, what do we do? So honestly, let's get inventory and start asking.
And I think that we can draw upon all those different types of fine and traditional arts to perhaps even do two artists at once, or we do, if there aren't a lot of quilters, then maybe there are some leather workers that could do the displays or the presentations. But I think that by having us say this is what we're sort of committing to quarter by quarter, and we are committing to display and participation, then that makes us accountable. And then I think that makes the whole thing grow and be way more robust and way more useful. So I will encourage us to look at what we can get for the art inventory, and perhaps by next meeting, we could start to look at how can we plug things in for the remainder of this year. And as we do that, then start to look at what is our 3-year goal, our 5-year goal. And we'll also have a chance within the first year to kind of see where do we have the community coming in, and where else do we want to draw people, and where else do we need to start to reach out. So it sounds like for the present, since we have approved the template and we are asking Leah to start that whole process of gathering artists to participate, it looks like perhaps that's as far as we can go in the 1-3-5 year at this point. Anyone else have comments or concerns?
I think I'd like to table that. I really can't feel comfortable making a 1-3-5 year plan until I know some more of the inventory and some of the subsets and groups. So for me to come up with a 1-3-5 year is a little bit premature at this meeting. I can come back at the next meeting and have a better input.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I was not clear. I was saying I think we've gone as far as we can right now until we get some more information and we get some more input from community. And then perhaps by next meeting or subsequent, we can start to look at those further out. Is that sufficient for the business that you were hoping we could accomplish on number 3, business A?
Yeah, definitely. Wanting to get that, approved so we can start that, and then I can start the process on getting like a call to artists, like making a flyer, making an application for people to submit art, making a packet so they have all the information they would need in order to hang art there.
That sounds
Yeah.
great.
Mhm.
That sounds great. All right, then if we have no other additional comments for number 3, business, it looks like we will move to number 4, reports. And that's the update on the grand opening.
Yep. So I've included in the packet a flyer, the first flyer that was put out for the grand opening for promotional reasons, just so you guys can get an idea of what that promotion is looking like. It's on March 13th. There will be a ribbon cutting at 4 p.m. and an open reception for people to walk through the space, look at what's on display. Look at the media room from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. on the 13th. And we're going to plan on having some snacks and treats for folks to enjoy while they're looking at the center. I was thinking of also trying to do sort of like a suggestion box, or like a survey like you were speaking about earlier, seeing if we can get comments from people who come in and seeing what they would like to see at the center, events they'd like to see happen at the center at the opening as well, so we can kind of gauge where the community's at there. We're putting out flyers every week until the opening, so there's going to be another flyer going out tomorrow, so we can, if people miss it the first time, they can see another flyer and see what's going to happen at the center on the 13th up until the opening. And included in that was just rotation, as you can see, for the rest of the year. But just wanted to make you all aware of the grand opening and how that's progressing. Really getting that center ready for the opening, cleaning it up. The history display is pretty done. The art pieces that we have hung, those are hung already, and we have labels for those as well. So at this point, it's like we're looking for, getting the snacks when we get closer and things like that.
Thank you. It looks like you've done lots of work. And you said the flyers go out. The flyers are going to whom?
So they go on social media, the city of CUNA social media, and they're also on the website as well. So it's like there's an event page on Facebook that was created. That way we can gauge like how interested people are and what people like who says they're going or the amount of people that say they're going. It's on the city of CUNA Instagram as well. There was an article on can't remember what.
There was an article via Boise Dev and the newspaper.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that was put out as well. I've sent it to the historical society, so the historical society is aware of the opening, so that they can come if they're available. So that's where that's been sent out.
Thank you. That sounds it sounds very thorough. And
I think we should add Idaho Arts Council into that. I mean, they have got a decent group, so it might pull somebody in outside of CUNA and reach out to them if they can attend or just, I think having them would be a good credibility, you know, so that's if you need a point of contact, I can provide that.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. That sounds like a great idea. Sure.
very nice. Is there anything else that you need from us to get things ready to go for the opening?
I mean, if you guys have any like questions, suggestions that you'd like to provide, those are welcome. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm still just working at it.
Thank you. That looks like it concludes the report. Item 5 says set items for next agenda. One of the things that I would be interested in being able to discuss is the possibility of doing some grants so that we can help supply assistance to artists. And I guess if there were some history projects as well, then we could look at perhaps some city grants that would allow other people to do some of that work to get those events and activities and workshops and whatnot into the center. So if we could take a look at the possibility of that, that would be great.
And a budget, is there a budget
Oh,
report?
yeah, and if there's a budget that we can take a look at, that'd be helpful.
Take a look at that so that we can
Get an idea.
discuss and look at it.
For sure. Okay.
So that would be a second action. I want to be grant allotment and then budget.
Yeah, very closely related, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only one I could think of at that point for the next. And a takeaway for me would be to really start to gather points of contact and go down that road.
For the arts.
For the art side, yeah,
Okay.
for the four subcategories that you've mentioned that we looked at, so,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I can get that. I can work on that cult artist for next meeting. We
Yeah,
can take
so
a look
you've
at that.
got fine arts, traditional, fine arts painting, and then traditional woodworking. So I think there's some, right, we start to build that contact point, right? So see where we go from there. I also think there's, coming up is a Idaho and Wood, Artistry of Idaho, down, and so I think there's a group that does, in Tarja, they do different types of wood things, right? There's women that do gourds too, they carve gourds, so I think that's another good place that we, as the Arts Commission of CUNA, can go and say, hey, throw out some cards or flyers and say, would you be, first of all, we need to get them. We need to get their names, and then we not. Oh, he lives in Melba. Well, that's close enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah.
that one's coming up in April.
Okay.
So if you haven't known, that's one that is pretty good too. I can get you that. I'll take a takeaway of that and get you contact information.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be a great source to start getting,
Thank
different
you.
kinds of artists.
Very helpful. So it looks like our next agenda would probably be to review what kind of inventory you get back and perhaps start to plug in some 1, 3, 5-year ideas. Any other items that the city can think of we need to be ready to discuss?
No, I think that pretty much covered it. You know, starting to build that art and then talking about budget. I think those are. Yeah, I can't think of anything at the moment for the next meeting. But
So if there is no other business, then thank you for your time. We appreciate your presence and your willingness to serve, and we will be in adjournment. Thank you.